Hey everyone, in my most recent video, I did a roundup of my current favorite fall eyeshadow palettes, and at the end of that video, I asked you to let me know which one you'd like to see me use in a tutorial, specifically in a tutorial using the new BK Beauty brushes done in collaboration with Angie Hot and Flashy. I have all of her brushes and then a few of just the standard BK Beauty ones that I reach for all the time. And I thought it would be fun to do a look with those. The palette that came in at number 1 is the Nars Climax Eyeshadow Palette. Now this is a limited edition and it has some very beautiful wearable colors, but the color that I knew would get the most requests are those beautiful greens, both the shimmer and the matte. And so that is what we are going to do today. Now I have done a video using this palette and I will link that wherever that eye goes, and I'll put it down in the description box as well. If you're still unfamiliar with what I'm talking about when I say the description box, depending on the device you're watching this, there are 2 places to look. If you're watching on some sort of desktop, it will be directly underneath my head where the words are. It'll say show more, I believe. And if you're watching on a mobile device, there'll be a little triangle type caret thing next to the title of the video. Click on that, it'll open up. There'll be all kinds of fun information in there. So anyway, everything will be listed in there as far as what I already have on, because I have all of my makeup on except for my eyeshadow and mascara. Now, I hesitate to call this a tutorial because a tutorial implies that I am teaching you how to do something that I am proficient at. I've been playing with makeup for a very long time, but I'm never gonna say that I am some sort of expert and that you should take my advice. All I feel like I'm doing is sharing with you my own blunders and missteps and attempts at trying to figure out this makeup game as I get older and my eyes get more hooded. So I might have some different insights than you're used to hearing, and we'll leave it at that. Another thing before we jump into the tutorial or demonstration, let's call it a demonstration. One more thing is that I have heard some feedback requesting that I perfect the look before I go on camera and show you what I'm doing. And the reason that I don't is very specific. I don't think of myself as a makeup artist. I am just like you, the only difference being that I am crazy enough to do it on camera in front of people. And if I have to work on a look to perfect it, that's not the kind of look that I wanna do. When I say I'm just like you, when I sit down in the morning, I don't want my makeup game to be a whole thought out process. I need to be able to just sit down, slap on the makeup, watch some videos or some TV on my tablet while I'm doing so, chit chat with friends. It shouldn't be something you have to think about and practice. That's not the kind of makeup that I want to do. So we are going to just move forward and I'm going to kind of make it up as I go along because that's what I do every single day. Looking at the palette upside down, I'm going to start with this lightest, most matte shade and lay that down in the crease. And to do that, I'm gonna use one of Angie's brushes, and it's the 503. Can't remember the names of all of them exactly, but 503 it is. This set is gorgeous. These brushes are amazing. I've used most of them already. I do want to point out, as I'm putting this on, that I do have hooded eyes, and that means that okay, this is the mobile part of my lid, the part that moves around when I look around. And the crease, where there it is, that natural line is right here. But when I open my eyes, it disappears into my socket line because I have hooded eyes. Now, hooded eyes are sometimes associated or often associated with older, more mature eyes, but I've had hooded eyes as long as I can remember. So it's just something I've been dealing with my whole life. If you want to make it look like you have larger eyelids, then just put the transition shade higher up. I kind of start it almost at the tail of my eyebrow and then move it up into the corner. And I do less of a rainbow shape and more of a straight across thing. Just a little tip. I do like to take that same transition shade and put it underneath my eye, and for that I am using a brush that I think is ingenious. It has a lot of uses, as do all of the brushes it seems like that Angie has designed. They are definitely multitaskers. This is the 504, and as you can see, it's very small and it comes to a nice little point. Let me compare it to the 207, which is usually the brush that I use to put color under my eye. Do you see how it's wider? And there's nothing wrong with that, but I do have little beady eyes. It just is what it is. And I don't have a lot of room underneath my lower lash line. So I love that this is a little more pointed. It's still pretty dense, so it'll get that color on, but it really keeps the color exactly where I want it. Now, I'm not surprised that the brushes that Angie designed are incredible, because if there's one thing that Angie does well, it is research. She knows what she's talking about. So I can tell that a lot of thought and care and research went into the designing of these brushes. My actual favorite brush of the set, I am not using today, but I did want to point it out. It is the 506, and my all-time favorite foundation brush, I didn't bring with me, is basically the large version of this. It's also from BK Beauty, and it has that chiseled cut side. It's dense, but just fluffy enough at the edges. And this is the exact miniature of the BK Beauty foundation brush, but this is in a concealer form, and it is brilliant. I love this for going and patting in anything underneath my eyes and getting in that inner corner, putting on concealer anywhere on my face, on blemishes. This is going to be an amazing contour brush. I can tell just by the way it's shaped and it fits the curves. The only reason I haven't used it as a contour brush is because I only have one of these so far, and I'd have to wash it every single time I use it, and I'm too lazy. So as soon as I get a few more of these in my collection, I'll be using it as a contour brush. But this was absolutely brilliant, and I'm so glad Angie thought of this. I just had to bring that up. Okay, let's get to the fun part of this tutorial. We are going to start with this matte green shade, and I'm gonna use the same brush, the same fluffier brush, the 503. Now this green looks very green in the palette. I'm gonna just focus it on the pretty much the same place that I put that first color. It looks green in the palette, but look at that. It really comes off as more as a muddy brown. Look at that. I mean, it doesn't look green to me. Does it scream green to you? So it has obviously the green undertones. The only difference with this is I'm pushing this more, and while I'm putting it also where I had that transition shade, I'm also pushing it into the actual socket line. It makes it a lot more wearable. You're gonna have that undertone. It's gonna subtly pick up a greenish shade, but it's not gonna scream, oh my gosh, she's wearing green eyeshadow. Now I took a lot off the brush, so I'm just going to keep adding a little bit and poking and blending up. I really just want this color concentrated in the outer corner and pull it a little bit onto the lid. And we're just gonna keep going up a little bit, down a little bit, and spinning that brush around. And for reasons I've never understood, my eyelid doesn't take color right there. Have you noticed there's like the little gap? So I am gonna go in with the 502, which is very similar to the 504, but I think it's a little fluffier. See the one that doesn't have any color on it? It's a little bit fluffier, more rounded, not as tapered. So I'm gonna use that to really get the color where I want it. For some reason, color never sticks into my outer corner. See? There we go. And then with that little point, I'm gonna get it right into that socket line and bring it in just a little bit more. Another trick for hooded eyes, it looks all nice and pretty with my eyes looking down into my little mirror, but when I look head on, how much of that green do you see? Not bad, but I'd like there to be a little more. So if you don't do this already, make sure when you're putting on your eye makeup at some point, look directly into the mirror head on with your eyes open. And then you can pull some more of that color up above the socket line so it's actually visible when you have your eyes open. Now, the mattes are nice, but I am always drawn to shimmer, and the shimmers in here are beautiful. And when I wear this palette most of the time on a daily basis, I just do almost like an ombre effect with the lightest, most neutral shade in the inner corner, and I work to the darker one on the outer corner. And I will show you what I'm talking about on my fingers. This one usually is in the inner corner, and then that one moves on to the outer corner or the middle, and then I'll even use this one, that darkest color, all the way in the outer corner as well. But all the requests really want to see that green. So what I'm going to do is start the same way. I'm gonna start the inner corner with that lightest shimmer shade, and for this I highly recommend using your fingers, except that Angie designed a brush to make putting on shimmer a little bit easier, especially when I'm trying to get in that inner corner. My finger is much bigger than my beady little eye, and I end up getting that shimmer shade all over the place. So I am taking the 505, which is a really flat, slick, firm brush. It's basically like a finger, but better. loading it on. I'm gonna go right into that inner corner and start packing it on. You can also use these shadows wet, but we're gonna try to keep this as simple as possible. Once I generally have the color where I want it, I am gonna go in with my finger and swipe. I usually recommend packing it, like patting shimmer on, but for some reason this formula works a little better when you swipe. See that? So pretty. And then I'm gonna go back with Angie's brush and kind of smooth in that inner part where my finger can't reach well. Now I'm taking another finger and I'm loading it up with the green shimmer from the middle of the palette. This is not rocket science, guys. And I'm patting it in the middle and I'm pulling it to the outer corner. And I'm going to take another brush. This is the 501. And you don't need to do this, but it's flat, but it's still a little bit fluffy on the tip. So it's really nice for blending the two shades together. And I'm gonna take the tip of it, dip it into that green. And I'm doing that because look, where'd all the shimmer go? It's gone, my eyes are open. So I'm gonna look directly into the mirror and pull that shimmer up into my hood. So you see some more of that color. And I'm gonna also pull it into that green that we originally placed. Then to blend those two shades together before I move on to the other eye, I'm going back with that really flat, slick brush, loading up the original shade, and I'm gonna overlap it a little bit where the green and the champagne-y shade meet, just so it blends in a little better and also open up my eye. There you go. Let's finish the other eye. Okay, let's clean things up a little bit, going back to the 502, which is the slightly larger of the fluffy brushes, and the original matte green. Just gonna dip that back and touch up the outer corner just a little bit. I wanna keep that matte at the very edge. And with whatever's left on the brush, I'm actually gonna pinch it and just run it along that outer third. Now I'm gonna curl my lashes. This is just an old limited edition color version of the Shuamura lash curler. And then I've just opened one of my favorite mascaras. This is from Wander Beauty and it's their Unlashed mascara. I'm actually wearing one of their foundations as well. I love how dense the bristles are on this, and that subtle curve is really great for hugging both the upper and lower lashes. So that's it. That's the finished look. It's super fast, it's super easy, and what I love personally about this palette is that there is color, but it's wearable everyday color. You could wear this eyeshadow look into a conservative work environment and I don't think anyone would look at you twice. You could wear this going out in the evening and it would be appropriate. It depends on the color placement and how much you use and how pigmented you want to layer it on. But it's just such an easy palette to work with. There are so many combinations I haven't even really played with yet, particularly playing up this burgundy and then the lighter matte shade underneath over here as well, making it more of a plum burgundy shaded look. I think that would be really fun. Use more of this coppery tone here. So there's a lot you can do with this little palette. The shadows are amazing. As far as the rest of this fall look, I normally don't do my lipstick before I do my eyeshadow, but I was playing with some new stuff. I just picked up this lipstick from Marnie with the plane flying overhead in the shade Lustful, and I love their new packaging and I love this color. Honestly, I generally go for a more neutral toned nude lip. So this is a lot of color for me to wear, but I feel like it's all very wearable. And I have been lining my lips lately, which I think really helps a lot. Along with hooded eyes, I have thin little lips. Any lip filler I have is long gone. And this is the Laura Mercier lip liner in the shade Hazelnut Tea, which I really, really like. And I just topped it with a Laura Mercier gloss in blush. And then the one last thing I want to talk about are these earrings. If you follow me on Instagram, you may notice if you zoom in on the picture that I've been wearing these a lot. These are one of the newer releases from Kendra Scott, and I feel like this stone is the penultimate fall earring or fall stone. It has every color of fall in this stone color, from the plums and the olive greens, and there's a little bit of a fiery flash of copper and red and orange and yellow and gold. I mean, it's just so pretty, and it literally goes with everything I have worn it with. I'm wearing it with this tank that I got when I did my Ever Eve haul, and just to take a little bit of the chill off, I threw on the cardigan that goes with it. I love that this cardigan has a ton of holes in it, So it's not overly hot. I can start wearing it now before it gets really into the cool temps that we're never really gonna have in Texas, but it's nice to dream. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this. Please keep the requests coming. There were quite a few requests for the Too Faced Extra Spicy Gingerbread palette and the Bold Obsessions one. So I thought what I would do is just do it over on Instagram. I'll probably do it as a live, but then save it to my IGTV so you can reference it later. If you don't want to miss that, then make sure you are also following me on Instagram. It's just @MsGoldgirl, and I'll put that link up here and down below as well. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Let me know if you try this look. Send me the picture, DM it to me, tag me on Instagram. Wrigley is saying hello, and so for that, I'm going to say goodbye. Thanks again for hanging out. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.